Dr. Sangeeta Reddy, Honorable Minister Matsibula, Honorable Minister Ravanava, Honorable Minister Ibrahim, Honorable Minister Dr. Anthony, Dr. Anupam Sibal, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure to address the valedictory session of the 12th International Health Dialogue. Now, some of you would be wondering why the External Affairs Minister is doing so. And the answer is that we, in India, envisage health as central to development and development as key to international cooperation. In recent years, many of our global initiatives have revolved around health security. This is a domain where India has been the first responder, a development partner, a supply chain link, a health solution provider, a knowledge center, and in many ways, especially in the last decade, an exemplar. Allow me to dilate on these different dimensions. When the COVID pandemic started engulfing the world, the initial deliberations, and I was myself present at some of them, envisaged India as potentially the biggest concern. Ironically, India ended up not only looking after its own needs, but actually stepped forward to contribute to the world. We provided medicines at that time to 150 nations, vaccines to 99 countries and 2 international organizations, as well as masks, PPE kits, gloves, ventilators, you name it. Equally important, India chose to do this when its own vaccination program was still unfolding. A large number of developing nations received Made in India vaccines, either through our Vaccine Maitri initiative or other global programs. Now, this was in contrast to many developed countries who had stockpiled vaccines to the multiples of their population. Indian medical teams also went out in the Indian Ocean region, deal with pressing situations in some smaller countries. But this was not just an exception made during the COVID era. In fact, it is part of our approach to the world, both before and after. Recently, we dispatched 66.5 tons of medical supplies to deal with the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. A little before that, a consignment of 1,400 kilograms of anti-cancer medicines were sent to strengthen the medical capabilities of hospitals in Syria. Even in Afghanistan, India has stepped forward with 300 tons of medicines in the last few years, as well as the dispatch of specialists to a hospital that we had built in Kabul. Now, I can give you numerous other examples, whether it was to Sri Lankan hospitals during the economic crisis in 2022, to Ukraine as the casualties in the conflict spiked, or to Myanmar when it was struck by Typhoon Yagi. And the contributions themselves, they could be Bhabha cyclotrons to treat cancer, as in Mongolia, Kyrgyzstan, and Kenya, or the Bhishma cubes for first line of care, which we gave to Ukraine, or for that matter, APIs and antibiotics, which we supplied to Cuba, or the Medvac services and sea ambulances ministered in the Maldives, or even the Jaipur Foot in Cambodia, or the dialysis machines in the Pacific Islands. In this pursuit, Indian diplomacy has worked with partners, big and small, islands and landlocked, close and distant, but united in their desire to ensure a better life for their citizens. Friends, India today has delivered more than 600 significant development projects in 78 nations across the world. Now, many of them are in the health sector. In parallel, the private health industry of India has also contributed to facilities and capacities in different geographies. And I want to say today that we value this industry as a partner. From specialty hospitals to primary health centers, we have sought to make a difference across a wide spectrum. The COVID experience was a reminder to many nations to develop national capacities in this crucial domain. Here too, Indian companies have, as well as obviously the Indian government, we have sought to localize production and to strengthen capabilities. One of our significant efforts in this direction has been the E-Arogya Bharti initiative to train medical students and paramedics in Africa through online classes. By diversifying the production of medicines and expanding the scale of medical professionals, we are strengthening the ability of the Global South to address its core concerns. But today I also want to make another point. It's not just the Global South which requires a stronger medical partnership. So does the Global North. There is an acute shortage of doctors, of nurses, of health workers in a very large number of countries in the Global North, in North America, in Europe, in Japan, in the Far East. And when we today negotiate mobility partnerships, one driver of this is actually to help them address their growing health needs, which obviously has to take into account an aging population. So that said, there are, these situations where the need for specialized care requires mobility. Indian hospitals have responded both outwards, as I said, but also inwards by developing modules to treat international patients. We see this particularly as a notable contribution to Global South societies for whom affordability and accessibility are key criteria. Through the Heal in India initiative, our government is committed to promoting medical value travel and making it easier for foreign patients to obtain treatment in India. Friends, as we seek to balance tradition and technology as the twin forces of national progress, it is also natural that we will explore the relevance of our own heritage and culture to the health of our people, and by the way, encourage other societies in a similar position to do so. Especially during the COVID period, there was a sharper realization of the utility and efficacy of traditional medicine to preventive healthcare, recovery, and wellness. India has the privilege to host the WHO Global Center of Traditional Medicine in Gujarat. As a government which created a department called Ayush to promote these very practices and treatments, we look forward to greater international cooperation in this sphere as well. This should be appreciated also in the larger context of an integrated view of human well-being. India has promoted the International Day of Yoga, the Lifestyle for Environment Initiative, LIFE initiative, and more nutritious practices such as the consumption of millets. But at the end of the day, a lot that India contributes is through its own progress and example. The Ayushman Bharat initiative, as you would have heard from other speakers, is today the world's largest government health insurance scheme. About 750 million of our citizens have received Abha IDs, and they have access to 360,000 healthcare facilities and 570,000 healthcare professionals. To do this on such a scale at our level of per capita income is actually a testimony to the power of digital public infrastructure. And that in turn reflects the deep commitment to good governance of the Modi government. For many citizens, the cost of medicines required for treatment of chronic ailments is also a particular anxiety. Here too, we have demonstrated through the 14,000 Jan Aushadhi Kendras, the People's Pharmacy, that caring policies and smart inventory management can bring down the costs of medicines for a common person. These are experiences I flag because they have a relevance and an application to others in the global south. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude today by underlining that in this day and age, healthcare is a fundamental right. It's not just a privilege. The global south cannot be a hostage to uncertain supply chains and the vagaries of the global economy. The COVID period was a real learning experience for all of us. We must be prepared for the next challenge. All of us want to strengthen healthcare systems, enhance patient safety, and ensure affordable access. These goals would be better achieved if we collaborate more closely. And to the world, therefore, my message would be of the importance of international partnerships. That is the purpose of this gathering, and I'm sure that we will all leave with a stronger sense of purpose, a greater awareness, shared experiences, and surely a better networking to achieve that in practical terms. I thank you for your attention.